This is the second day of the trial of the Queen versus Matson. The charge is murder. The question facing the jury is, did Rita Matson kill her husband? Norman Matson was a famous illusionist. As Count Alucard, he played clubs all over Europe and even toured America. The climax of the act came when Matson was shot on stage. The guns were real, the bullets were silver. Miraculously, he survived. Until one night in the 501 Club in Fulchester, a bullet blew a hole in Norman Matson's chest, killing him. What went wrong? Did Rita Matson kill her husband? In Fulchester Crown Court today, these questions may be answered.
Kathleen Nolan?
Yes.
You live at Chez Kathleen, Pollock Road, Nelson?
Yes, with my mother.
You're a dancer by profession?
Exotic dancer and model. Corsetry and underwear, mostly.
I beg your pardon?
Corsetry and underwear, that's what I model mostly, for mail-order catalogues and things like that.
I see. Thank you, Miss Nolan. Now, you were employed at the 501 Club in Fulchester at the time that Norman Matson was shot.
Yes, that's right. Oh, it was awful. You've no idea. The gun went off and Norman fell to the floor and then the blood started coming out.
Miss Nolan.
Yes, my lord?
Try and answer counsel's questions as simply and briefly and, of course, as truthfully as you can.
Yes.
If either counsel wishes you to go into detail, he will phrase his question in an appropriate manner.
You mean I mustn't talk too much, my lord?
Just try and keep to the point.
I'm sorry. It's the first time I've given evidence anywhere before.
I quite understand, Miss Nolan.
Miss Nolan, you are, I believe, a friend of the accused, Mrs. Rita Matson.
Yes.
Have you known her long?
About 9 or 10 years.
How did you meet?
We started as dancers together in a pantomime in Bradford. It was Puss in... Do you want to know the name of the pantomime?
Please tell us, Miss Nolan.
It was Puss in Boots.
Thank you. So you knew the defendant when she first met Norman Matson?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Where did she first meet him?
At a club. We were both in the troupe that was dancing there, although I was already starting to do some solo exotic dances with some lovely fans. Sorry.
That's all right. Mr. Matson was a bachelor?
Yes, I think so.
Did he have an assistant at the time?
Yes, Stella her name was.
But he replaced Stella with the accused. Now, when was that?
When we were in Newcastle.
In fact, just after they'd met?
Yes.
You've remained friends with Mrs. Matson?
Yes. In fact, I used to see quite a lot of her when we were working the same clubs. Or if she was working in a town nearby, she'd come over and see me, or vice versa.
You must have seen quite a lot of their marriage over the years.
Yes. Not that it was much of a marriage, if you ask me.
Why do you say that?
Well, wasn't Rita's fault. It's just that Norman was such a... Well, he didn't want a wife. He just wanted an unpaid assistant for the act.
Would you say that the marriage was unhappy?
Well, I don't know. So long as Rita let Norman carry on with whoever he fancied, whenever he fancied, they seemed to get on well enough. But if she ever complained about his girlfriends or made some mistake in the act, he'd knock her about.
Now, how do you know that, Miss Nolan?
But he knocked her about. I've seen him hit her on several occasions.
Did the accused ever tell you why she continued to stay with him?
Yes, she once told me that no matter what kind of a swine Norman was, he had a top-class act and always played the best places. She was never short of money.
Now, did you see her just prior to Norman Matson's death?
Yes.
Did the defendant say anything to you about Miss Greenway's association with her husband?
Yes. She said to me, Rita that is, she said that she'd had enough of Norman's messing about with other women. She said that no one was going to take Norman away from her, not even Dorothy Greenway. She said she'd rather kill him first.
On the night of Norman Matson's death, were you in the 501 Club?
Yes.
Did you notice any change in the routine of the act?
No, except that Rita loaded one of the guns herself.
You're sure?
Yes.
And that was not a normal part of the act?
No.
Thank you, Miss Nolan. Please remain there.
Miss Nolan, would you describe yourself as a friend of Mrs. Matson?
Oh, yes. I'm probably her best friend.
Poor Mrs. Matson, my lord.
Mr. Fry.
I'll withdraw that remark, my lord. Miss Nolan, you described how you and your friend first made the acquaintance of Norman Matson.
Yes.
What kind of a man was he then?
Very attractive.
Would you describe him then as a womanizer?
Well, he certainly wasn't queer. I mean, yes, he was after all the girls in the club.
Including the defendant?
Oh, yes.
How was it that he came to replace his assistant Stella with Mrs. Matson?
Well, Stella wasn't exactly what you call a bonus for the act.
In what way was she inadequate?
Well, she had shocking legs to begin with. I mean, if an illusion act needs anything, it's an assistant with good legs. Besides, she was beginning to hit the bottle a bit.
She was often drunk.
Well, not exactly what you call drunk. It's just that, well, she made mistakes. And if there's one thing Norman hated, it was working with someone who drank. I mean, he was a perfectionist. Everything had to be 100% exactly as he'd planned it.
So Mr. Matson chose the defendant to replace Stella.
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean, Miss Nolan?
It was more like the other way round. Rita did the choosing.
In what way?
Well, she fancied him strongly. We all did. Anyway, it was always after all the girls. But she went out of her way to get him. She pursued him, you might say. I'm going to get him, Kath, she told me. And she did.
How?
Well, it wasn't right what she did.
What did you do, Miss Nolan?
She got Stella really drunk one night.
Deliberately?
Oh, yes. She knew Stella had been drinking already, and she took half a bottle of vodka into their dressing room. She told Stella it was her birthday and she was celebrating. It wasn't. Her birthday's in August.
Are you sure about this half bottle of vodka?
Oh, yes. She asked me to go out and buy it for her.
You knew this was her intention at the time?
No, she told me afterwards.
Was her plan successful?
Oh, yes. Stella made a right mess of things on stage, and Norman was raving mad. Like I said, he was a perfectionist.
And so the defendant replaced Stella?
Yes, for the very next performance. We all wondered why she'd been studying his act so closely. Of course, we realised later.
Tell me, Miss Nolan, was Mr. Matson your lover this time when you all met in Newcastle?
Do I have to answer that, my lord?
Yes, Miss Nolan.
All right, yes.
Did your association with Mr. Matson continue?
Continue?
Continue up to and after his marriage to Mrs. Matson?
Yes. It wasn't a regular thing, though.
Were you in love with Norman Matson?
No. He was a very attractive man, that's
Now,
all.
you've described yourself as an exotic dancer and model.
That's right.
How much exotic dancing and modelling do you do?
Well, it depends on how often I'm working.
And how often is that?
I don't know.
Well, for example, are you working this week?
Well, no.
Were you working last week?
No.
Do you have any jobs coming up next week?
Not that I know of, but
The week after next?
Yes, I'm doing some corset modelling.
And how much will that pay?
About £20, I suppose.
So you spend a considerable portion of your career resting, I believe the term is.
Well, I mean, show business is like that.
Would my learned friend like to see the witness's insurance card, my lord?
I would be grateful if you would come to the point, Mr. Fry.
We're almost there, my lord. Mr. Nolan, would you say that the Matsons had to rest very often?
No.
No.
Norman was working all the time.
A top-class act, you said, very successful.
Yes.
And your friend, Rita, was part of that act, and she played all the best clubs here and on the continent.
Yes, but if you're suggesting that I was jealous...
Weren't
then-
you, Miss Nolan?
No,
Isn't it jealousy that's coloured all your evidence in this court today?
certainly not.
You said, and I quote you, Rita pursued him.
That's right.
Was it only Rita?
Don't know what you mean.
Well, I'd love to know who bought this half bottle of vodka that got Stella drunk. Whose idea was it?
Rita's.
Do you seriously expect the jury to believe that Rita turned around and said to you, go out and get half a bottle of vodka, I want to get Stella drunk so that I can take her place in the act?
Oh, no, it didn't happen like that.
I'm sure it didn't, Miss Nolan.
Rita went after Norman Matson with every intention of taking Stella's place in his act.
She told you that?
As good as.
Did she tell you or did she not, Miss Nolan?
Not in those words.
Were you competing with her, Miss Nolan?
No.
Were you yourself hoping to replace Stella as Norman Matson's assistant?
No.
Now, what about Mrs. Matson's threat to her husband's life? Was this as vaguely expressed as her other alleged declarations of intent?
She said she'd rather kill him first.
Were those her precise words?
Near enough.
You'll have to do better than that, Miss Nolan. Did she say, I'll kill my husband first before I let him go off with another woman?
Well, perhaps not in those exact words, but...
And what about your assertion that for Mrs. Matson to load the gun was a complete change in the routine of the act? Is that also an exaggeration?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
How many times have you seen the act performed, Miss Nolan?
Well, dozens of times.
What do you mean dozens of times? 24, 36, 48?
I've told you dozens of times.
But you didn't see the act every time it was performed, did you?
Well, no, of course not.
So how can you be sure, then, that on occasion Mrs. Matson did not load one or even both of the guns?
I suppose I can't.
Thank you, Miss Nolan.
Miss Nolan, as a professional yourself, would you say that it's usual for a carefully drilled act like the Matsons to vary greatly from performance to performance?
No, they rehearsed several variations using different illusions and so on, but the basic framework didn't alter, and the build-up to the shooting was always the same.
Now, Miss Nolan, is there any reason why you should be jealous of Rita Matson?
No,
Have you ever been envious of her success?
No, she didn't really have any. I mean, he was the star. She was merely his assistant. The success was his.
Thank you very much, Miss Nolan.
Thank you.
You may stand down, Miss Nolan.
That concludes the case for the prosecution, Your Lord.
I call Mrs. Rita Matson.